thing I've been working on a lot lately is sequencing arpeggios, basically playing them in some way besides straight up and down, just blah, 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 blah. An example of some techniques that work really well for that, I'm figuring them a little more 2-note per string oriented, almost like a pentatonic scale, but fingering the notes in a way where it sounds like an arpeggio. In fact, it is an arpeggio. Let's start off on the high E string. It'll be G and D, just 2 notes. Then go right down to the G string, B and G, and then with your second finger on the D string, hit the E note. So right there you have all the notes out of an E minor triad. And I just go up and down using hammer-ons and pull-offs. Another thing, it's real easy to get a real good tone with distortion using this kind of technique. It's also very easy to sequence it. You could maybe go down 3 notes and then go back up and then back down. So you can do the notes in a lot of different orders, so it's not just straight up and down. You do a sequence like this. Let me take that slow for you one time. So I do go straight down the first time, back up as far as the E, and then back down the G, then to the octave G, down 3 notes, and down another 3 notes starting on E. Probably much easier just to hear it slow. Let's try it again. And then just over and over. One way of playing arpeggios that I've had a lot of success with is string skipping. Basically what this is playing some notes on one string, like say the G string, and completely skipping the adjacent string, which would be the B, and going right to the E. This is a real good way of getting arpeggios by using hammer-ons and pull-offs. The first one that I did, which I really like the sound of and still use a lot, is an E minor 7th. The notes, you have a pretty big stretch in the G string. It'd be D, E, and G. Then you don't use the B string at all. You can cut it off with a chainsaw or whatever. On the E string, you'll play B, D, and E. You'll notice that your first finger and pinky are on the same frets the whole time. The fingers that have to change is you'll use your second finger on the G string and your third finger on the E string. A lot of times I'll add a lower note with my third finger on the G note, 10th fret of the A string. You can use sequences that you used in your hammer-on pull-off licks within these. They translate real well. Also, two-handed stuff works real well in combination with this. For example, try adding on a G note. Or maybe sliding up to the B note. Sliding may take a while to get used to, but after you wear those initial grooves in your first finger, it'll sound real cool. Well, in order to play the hip licks, you need the hip tones, and here's where they come from. I've got pretty much the one of my favorite things of all time, the new 88 MP1. The real cool thing about it is that not only does it sound great, but you get some incredible switching with it. By pressing one button, you can change everything that's MIDI plus kick-in stuff in the effects loop. Give me an example. I get my normal distortion tone. One button, and I get a real cool clean tone with a completely different reverb and chorus on it. Press another button and I get real loud lead sound with chorus and echo on it. pretty darn hip. Press another button, it turns the harmonizer on. But really the most important thing in my tone is the kind of high end I have. It's not treble so much, but it's more like the presence. The presence. Here's another shape that translates real well with a lot of the left-hand licks that we've done earlier. This is a way of playing minor triads with a wider stretch. Let's try this one. It's in the key of B, and you have a pretty big stretch. You'll do B, D, and F sharp, all in the B string, be the 12th, 15th, and 19th frets. Then with your third finger, reach down to the 16th fret of the D string. So again, you're skipping over the G string. You don't have to use it all. And just doing hammer-ons, ascending, pull-offs, descending, and then pick the low note. So that alone will sound like this. Which is a real smooth sounding triad. It's real hard to get that same kind of tone out of sweep picking. To get a better range out of it, you could add the high B by barring with your pinky on the high E string. I really like the sound of the notes. If you tried to sweep pick that, it'd be very difficult to get that same kind of tone out of the string. Especially with distortion. And this works really well. Here's a variation of that same idea. It involves some pretty wild left-hand shapes. This would be E minor triads. I'm doing the same kind of idea. It'd be E, G, and B on the high E string, 12th position. And I took that shape and put it exact shape starting on E in two different octaves. So you have some pretty wild string skipping to do. Your first one, you skip over two strings and go down to the D string. Exact same notes, exact same shape, but different string, and you have to move up a whole step. Let's try that much. Let's try starting on the note on the D string, go up, E, G, B, and then go back to the E string, E, G, B, and then descend on both strings. So all together that'll sound like this. Gonna have to bend over your guitar and make the huge stretch for that one, but occasionally if you get lucky it'll work. To continue that, you can get the lower octave on the low E string, starting on the E note, and doing those same notes, E, G, and B, with the same stretch. Let's give that a try. Whoa, wild and crazy. Well, I've definitely had a blast showing you all my favorite licks, and I hope that the information will help you out in your own playing. And I'd just like to thank Martine and Roger for putting up with all my ridiculous ideas, and of course Steve for making the music happen, and of course Lisa for looking marvelous. And right now I'd like to do my last and final magic trick for you. I'm going to make the guitar disappear. This time it'll work for sure, no problem. Hey, wrong video.